Welcome back, everybody. It's time for Maligator Mom's midweek meltdowns. It's that time of the week where I tell you what I really think. All right, guys, welcome back. It is Wednesday, which means that I have officially earned my right to my midweek meltdown. And in today's video, I have kind of a special treat because I have invited a couple trainers on to share their commentary on the subject as well. So I'm going to jump right into it. I want to address this elephant in the room that I have not really come out and talked a whole lot about, and that is the social media war that seems to have broken out between the balanced training and the positive only training methods. And so what you've been seeing a lot right now across all social media, which includes TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all of it, has just been like this all-out war of these two methods. Even I myself am going to admit that if you've been watching my content, I have created some content that caters to that audience, the people that are following along with this war, who have these really strong opinions. Is this something that's going to provoke some kind of controversy? Is this something that's trending? Does this provoke a feeling or a strong emotion or reaction? Is this going to get people to want to watch it and click into it? So that is absolutely something that I consider when I am creating content. And I think that that is probably true of almost all people on social media. We have to consider the algorithm. We are slaves to the algorithm if we want visibility, if we want to be seen, if we want our posts to be liked or engaged with, if we want our businesses to grow, right? If I want more subscribers on YouTube, for example. These are all things that we have to consider. It's just the system that we have to work within. And we could debate that topic all day long, but that doesn't change anything. At the end of the day, that is where technology is headed. Algorithms are only going to get more powerful, and we will just be slaves to what it is that human nature, subconsciously desires. And, one of those things is tribalism. That's just who we are. It's innate in who we are as human beings. And so I think that this tribalism factor has really revealed itself in this war. And it is a war. People are literally referring to this as the war of dog trainers on social media. So I actually reached out to a couple different trainers online, and you might have heard their names and be surprised that I follow this positive only trainer, but I do. His name is Josh with Canine Optima, and I have him representing more of the positive only side of dog training. And yes, I absolutely follow him, and yes, I have learned things from this trainer. And I mean, believe it or not, like 99% of what I do with my dogs would be considered force-free or positive only. So I have a lot to learn from those methods of training. And I think that to shut them out completely is just to do yourself a disservice, because you don't have to agree with everyone about everything to acknowledge that some of what they do, even if you don't like all of it, can bring value to your life. So it's okay to take what you want from the table and leave some things behind. And I think that in today's current culture, we have forfeited the right to allow nuance to exist anymore, or to disagree with each other, or to talk about more than one thing at a time. I think people have forgotten that you can do that. And so yes, there are several positive only trainers that I follow. Josh from Canine Optima just happens to be one of them, and I'm really glad. I'm very grateful and appreciative that he took the time today to collaborate with me on this video. And then on the balance side of things, I have Jonas Black, and some of you might recognize his name as the PunkAssDogTrainer. He has a huge account on TikTok that really just exploded onto the scene in recent months, and this guy just has a heart of gold. I mean, he really is a very smart, articulate, genuine person who loves dogs and always wants the best for the dogs that he's working with. And so these two guys have really been in the thick of this war. I mean, absolutely, no doubt about it. And so I think that they're going to have some really good insight to share with us. So let's see what they had to say.
So when I think about the war, I think of two things. Alan Watts talked about, not to get too hippy-dippy, but Alan Watts talks about, as humans, we like to apply this narrative that we're the underdog, that we're being oppressed and we have to fight this good fight in order to keep going. It's what gives us a sense of purpose. And so you see this play out in a lot of oppositions in this world, like politics, for instance. You have your conservatives that believe that the liberals are infringing on their lifestyles and taking away their rights, and vice versa. The liberals think that about conservatives because we need a sense of purpose. We have to climb this mountain. We have to fight this giant. And so that plays out in our profession as we see people, quote unquote, diminishing our practitioner, right? Whether we're utilizing tools, whether we're utilizing force-free methods, and we want to jump in this fight. We want to feel like that we're fighting for something bigger than ourselves. And the reality is that we are on a platform that is encouraging that rewards that from an algorithm perspective, whether it's Reddit, and you get the bumps, whether it's TikTok and you get pushed onto the For You page when you upset a lot of people or confuse a lot of people. And so people get wise to this and then they decide to grow their platform as opposed to speak true to their passions or their proficiencies or help others or support others, because in the social media realm, that doesn't do very well, right? It's all talk and no walk that gets you a giant platform and gets more people knocking on your door to potentially get you more business. And so it becomes a big reality TV show. And I think that's where more and more trainers are taking a step back, starting to forge connections and partnerships and really look at some of these techniques and figure out from an industry perspective, what is effective versus what is more effective. And I think that's how we win the war.
Being real about it, the war between the force-free and the balanced community doesn't come from the communities as a whole. It stems from the extremists on either side of the fence, right, on either side of the aisle. It's the 2% of the balanced community and the 2% of the force-free community who are just consistently at odds with one another. And unfortunately, they tend to be the loudest out of all of us. That's a huge problem. So what we have is we have one side of the fence, the extremist balance trainers being like, well, they don't believe in punishment. They'd rather put a dog down, right? And then you have the extremists on the force-free side yelling at balance trainers being like, you're abusive because you use tools. And then you have the other 98% of dog trainers who are looking at one another and going, well, why are they getting these results? Or why aren't they getting these results? Or how did they do this? Or how are they using prong collars? Or how are they using marking? How are they properly implementing play? Those things. And the majority of dog trainers really do want to learn. It's just that the idiots, which is what they are, the idiots on either side of the fence tend to have the loudest voices, which is detrimental, as it's not only hindering our industry from moving forward, but it confuses dog owners for which help to get for their dogs and their own relationship with their dog whenever they're struggling with their relationship with their dog. And in all actuality, it is just fucking embarrassing. It's embarrassing for our industry and it's embarrassing for the different communities. It's about coming together and learning from one another at the end of the day, truly.
So what I'm taking away from this is that neither side is really well represented in this war. I think that a lot of people feel the need to defend themselves from time to time, which sometimes, depending on the nature of the offense, is necessary. And I think it's easy to be goaded into reactionary type of posts now and then. I'm guilty of that myself. But what I've really gotten just from listening to both of them share their opinion is that both sides aren't really well represented, because it's more all of the other facets that are coming into play to create the beast. It's not any one, slice of the pie that's bigger than the other. It just seems to be like this perfect storm of social media, of losing the ability to disagree civilly anymore in society, of tribalism, of the algorithm fueling the fire, of the fact that anybody has a platform now, that anybody can come online and seem to have a qualified opinion even if they don't. So many things are at play, but what we need to remember is that we all love dogs. We all want what's best for dogs. And at the end of the day, we will always have that in common. And that is the most powerful thing to have in common.